Hello. Welcome back to the quiet. I want to talk to you today about a moment that happens in the life of every sincere seeker. We often think spiritual breakthroughs look like movies. We imagine lightning in the sky, or a booming voice from the clouds, or a sudden ecstatic vision. But in reality, the most profound turning point is usually silent. It happens on a Tuesday afternoon, or while you're washing dishes or driving home in traffic. It is a moment where a simple, stubborn resolve rises up in the heart, and you say to yourself, "From today, I take refuge only in the divine. I am done leaning on things that break." That inner decision, that shift from scattered living to one-pointed refuge, is what I want to explore with you today. It is not a story about leaving your family or moving to a cave. It is a story about an inner revolution. There's a beautiful, fierce phrase in the wisdom teachings, "Nan yam barami." It translates to, "I will not speak of anything else." Now, when you first hear that, it sounds extreme, doesn't it? We live in the world. We have to talk about rent and emails and what to make for dinner. How can we not speak of anything else? But the teaching isn't asking you to be mute. It's asking you to look at the purpose of your tongue. Think about the last time you spent an hour gossiping, or complaining, or dissecting someone else's failure. How did you feel afterward? You felt drained, right? You felt a little dirty. The tongue is a gatekeeper. When we use it for blame or sarcasm or endless trivial drama, we are painting the walls of our inner heart with that same grime. But when we make a resolve, even a small one, to use our speech for kindness, for truth, for remembrance, the tongue becomes a path. Imagine if before every difficult conversation you took 1 second to mentally offer your words to the divine. Suddenly, a boring business meeting becomes a secret act of worship. And just as we guard the tongue, we have to talk about the ears. The teacher in this text says something that stopped me in my tracks. He says, if we are not careful with what we listen to, it will become our thinking. That thinking becomes action. And action becomes destiny. We are so careful about food hygiene, aren't we? You wouldn't eat a sandwich if you saw mold on it. You'd say, "No, that will make me sick." But we casually feed our minds spoiled sound all day long. Angry news debates, toxic lyrics, the cynicism of a friend who loves to complain. We let it all in, and we think it doesn't affect us. But the ears are open doors. What enters stays. It leaves a residue. So here is a radical permission slip for you. You are allowed to walk away. If a conversation is dragging your spirit down, you can leave. You can put in your invisible earplugs. You can choose to protect the diet of your mind. This brings us to the feet. The text asks a haunting question. Where are your feet taking you? We think of our lives in terms of big milestones, career changes, marriages, but life is actually measured in steps. Every day, your feet walk you into certain rooms, into certain habits, into certain online spaces. Every step is a vote. The world is described in the scriptures as a bulbulaya, a maze, a labyrinth. Have you ever walked into a situation, maybe a toxic relationship or a bad habit, thinking, "I'll just take a peek," and 10 years later you are still trying to find the exit? That is the maze. Spiritual maturity is looking at your feet and asking, is this step taking me towards clarity or is it taking me towards confusion? If your feet are taking you towards places where your peace is mocked, turn around. It's not cowardice, it's wisdom. But let's get to the core of this. The word is ashvaya, refuge. We all claim we trust in the divine. We say, God is my rock. But the text gives us a very uncomfortable test to see if that's actually true. Here is the test. When a sudden, terrible crisis hits, a health scare, a financial loss, who do you call first? Where does your mind run in the first 3 seconds? Do you panic and think, I need money, I need this person, I need to fix it? Or does your heart collapse even for a moment into the divine? And conversely, when something wonderful happens, a huge success, do you think, I did this? Or do you think, this is grace? True refuge doesn't mean we don't go to doctors. It doesn't mean we don't have savings accounts. It means we don't confuse the instrument with the source. The doctor is the instrument. The divine is the provider. When you shift your weight, like shifting your weight from a broken chair to a solid rock, you stop being so afraid. Because the chair might break, but the rock will not. There's a tender section in this teaching about tears. We all cry. We cry when our feelings are hurt. We cry when we don't get what we want. Those tears are human. They're okay. But they are tears for the ego. I wanted this and I didn't get it. The teacher describes a different kind of crying, the gift of tears. Imagine sitting alone, maybe under a tree, or just in your bedroom in the dark, and you're crying not because you want a new car or because someone was mean to you. You're crying because you miss home. You miss the beloved. You're crying because you want to love better than you do. The text says, without crying, no one has attained this intimate love. These tears cleanse the eyes. They wash away the dust of the world so we can finally see clearly. So how do we live this? How do we take this heavy philosophy and carry it into a Tuesday morning? It's simple. Start with the morning. Before you touch your phone, let your first thought be of the source. Say, today I take refuge in you. Watch your speech. Before you speak, ask, is this adding light or is this adding noise? Watch your feet. Walk away from the things that make you forget who you are. And finally, trust. The teaching ends with a promise. It says that when your refuge becomes one-pointed, when you stop running to 1,000 false shelters and finally stand on the one true ground, you are no longer an orphan. The universe rearranges itself around you. The universe takes personal responsibility for your care. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders anymore. You just have to remember who is carrying you. Thank you for listening. May you find your refuge.